Hello and welcome to Athena Games unboxing stream for waves 12 and 13 of the X-Wing miniatures game. This is going to be a long one, folks. We've got 5 new spaceships to show off to you, some of which are quite chunky beasts and come with quite an expansive set of new upgrades, pilots and other exciting new tricks for the game. So, first of all, exciting to have 2 waves arrive at once.
Yeah. It's big for one thing. That's
it is different. I was looking at the comparisons and thinking, this is the largest unboxing we've had to do because it was 4 once, and now this is 5. This is This is going to be a long one, folks.
Yeah, we're gonna be here a while.
Get your coffee on tap, I think, is the answer. But yeah, there's a lot going here.
So, first of all, we've got our stream poll. We've got, I think it's 7 lists we've put together using the new ships. So 2 from each faction, plus Max has thrown in a bonus Rebel list so that he can equally feature the Phantom II and the Resistance Bomber, giving each of them the spotlight. We'd like you folks to pop online. The poll's up on stream, and I would imagine we're going to have a handy link somewhere in the vicinity that you folks can click on. Select the list that you'd like to see. I think you pick 2 lists from the ones below, and we'll then face those 2 lists off against each other on Wednesday the 20th of December, I believe.
I think that's it, yeah.
The holiday special.
Yep.
Our holiday special episode ahead of our Battle of Yavin game that we'll be doing. 150 points of X-Wing goodness.
I won't be leaving this booth all night for that. But yeah, there's a lot to go through, and we'll just have to see what happens with that. And obviously, the unboxing game will follow in a couple of weeks' time.
Well then, I suppose we should get started.
Let's get started. So we're going to run through these in the order they were previewed by Fantasy Flight Games. That just seems like the most sensible approach to take for all of it. And it means we keep you all in anticipation for the TIE Silencer at the end. So we're going to begin with the AlphaClass Star Wing, or the Gunboat, for some of you who may be fans of the old TIE Fighter games. This is a real fan favourite. This is something that people have been requesting for X-Wing for, well, more or less since the game started. So, exciting times to see this.
Yeah, they finally got around to it.
I think what's the scary thing in proportion of like this wave, you've got the Silencer, which is huge, the Resistance Bomber, which is huge, and you've got this, which is tiny.
It's not the biggest, is it?
No.
And you're having difficulties getting out of the packaging.
No, it's I honestly, when they announced it, I was expecting a sort of this size of pack rather than the fully small one.
I mean, it's very much like a single-person fighter craft, and a beautifully designed model, I feel.
Oh yes.
Very much picking on that same design aesthetic as the Lambda-class shuttle as well.
Yes.
As you'd kind of expect, really. It's produced by the same company in universe. But rather than the Lambda's hefty crew capacity and ability to haul Palpatine around the universe, this is designed to just carry as many guns and missiles as you can feasibly strap onto one ship,
which is quite a lot, as it turns out. Oh, excuse me.
It's done quite well to get that many on there for a ship of that size, really.
I'm going to be honest. It looks quite a lot like the spaceships I drew when I was about 8. But yeah, it's a nice little ship. It's an interesting addition to the Imperial fleet, and it's the second ship in the game to natively feature the slam action. So in terms of its base stat line, we're looking at a 2 attack, 2 agility, 4 hull and 3 shield ship. It's got the focus, target lock, slam, and excitingly a brand new action, reload. So the reload action allows you to use your action to assign a weapon stable token to yourself and flip face up any discarded missile and torpedoes that you've got equipped to this ship. And then in terms of its upgrade bar, you've got a torpedo and a missile slot, conveniently enough. Yeah. So, filling an interesting role.
Yes.
I think,
and very cheaply priced in the generic there, at least.
Yeah. So, taking a look first of all then at our pilots, we've got the Pilot Skill 2 New Squadron Pilot, which clocks in at a not particularly hefty 18 points. If you were to compare that with the TIE Bomber, like the Scimitar Squadron Bomber is 16, very similar kind of stat line there. So I think the two do compare quite favourably.
Yes.
The new squadron gains an extra point of health effectively overall, and importantly 3 points of those health are made of shields.
Yes, that was something I was getting anyway. It's 7 compared to 6, and having shields is better than having
built into
just
the
hull.
shields, and of course the ability to both slam and reload your missiles once they're all gone. Although you'll note looking at the screen there that all on its own it doesn't have all that many munitions strapped on there just yet.
No, absolutely. So you've got your new squadron pilot, then you step up to the Row Squadron Veteran, which bumps us up to pilot skill 4, and in the process it gains an elite pilot talent slot, but it also increases by 3 points up to 21. So a little bit of a steep step up in price there, but the benefits of an EPT slot.
Considering it's a small base munitions carrier, that's Deadeye, which is a huge difference at this point, to be honest.
Especially depending what you outfit them with in terms of their munitions capabilities, I suppose.
Well, I mean, with the having a missile and a torpedo slot, it can take long-range scanners, but it's basically having the Deadeye is the difference between that and the extra firepower you get from a guidance chip.
Yeah.
Or something, or or using your modification slot for something other than just being able to get your target lock.
Yeah.
It's vital.
It's really
very different.
It's very different. I think the 3 point cost is worth it. Although something I will say, if the Star Wing feels very similar to the Bomber's progression in terms of like how you step up from one pilot to the next. There's those slightly bigger jumps between like your two generics, and then up towards your named pilots you get those slightly bigger jumps that the Bomber gets as well. And speaking of which, we come to our first named pilot, Lieutenant Kasabi, who comes in at pilot skill 5, keeps the elite pilot talent slot, and gains a pilot ability. When you receive a weapons disabled token, if you are not stressed, you may receive 1 stress token to remove it. So, slam and still shoot.
Slam
Reload
and still shoot. And still shoot. Just take the stress, which... how good are they at getting rid of that?
They're alright. The dial is okay.
Do we have an image, or are we going to just show it off? Well, we have it in the packaging here. We can show it off.
Pass that across to Elliot so he can wave this in front of the screen on our behalf. But like the dial is very reasonable. You can slow roll reasonably well with that selection of 1-speed manoeuvres.
1 and 2 forward and 2 banks for clearing stress, which
I think those 2 banks
similar to the Bomber.
I think those 2 banks being green is quite useful for Kasabi in particular, because it means that if you need to clear stress and then slam again,
yes,
you're opening yourself up with your speed 2 manoeuvres rather than you being tied down to those speed 1s.
I think that's very.
It is worth noting
it is very reasonable.
There is quite a limited amount of green on the dial, though. You've got your 1 forward, your 2 forwards, and then your 2 banks.
Yes.
And none of the speed 3 manoeuvres are green. And I think that, again, is a very deliberate choice to stop you doing a 3 forwards green and then slamming into a 3 hard turn.
That would be monstrous.
Yeah, because otherwise you'd be able to then... Well, obviously with Kasabi, that kind of range of movement while still clearing your stress to use his ability all over again is... would be
silly.
It would be very strong and makes a little bit...
Potentially flanking as well.
Yeah, and maybe a bit better than 24 points would allow.
But that is something that's worth noting. 24 points.
And that's very cheap.
That's 3 points more than the Row Squadron. And that's only for 1 point of pilot skill and your pilot ability. So that is quite a marked uptick.
Normally it'd be like...
But it's a very strong pilot ability.
I'm inclined to agree, but it's kind of, again, that kind of like Bomber style jump. It's the generic going up to Captain Jonas type of step.
Yeah, it is a marked change.
And then last of all, we have Major Vinder. Vinder? Yes, let's go with that. Bumping up 2 pilot skill to pilot skill 7. Again, keeping the elite pilot talent slot, and getting the pilot ability when defending. If you have a weapons disabled token, roll 1 additional defense dice. So you slam, you get better at dodging. You reload, you get better at dodging.
You have a 3 agility bomber, as long as you keep your weapons disabled.
Not too shabby, I'd say.
Especially considering some of the other tricks that I suppose we'll be getting to in a moment for how the Starwing can get around that weapons disabled token.
And that's another 2-point step up. So that's you paying a point for each point of pilot skill. He's going up there as well.
Yes.
So I think by the time you get into Major Vinder, once you start looking about putting an elite pilot talent on him, loading some ordnance in, you're talking about kind of like sort of mid 30 points kind of range, I think.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right for what we're seeing here.
So I think he's definitely someone you want to kind of like consider as taking the place of an ace in a list. Like he's not going to fit in much cheaper than that.
No.
I think, however, that pilot skill 7 is quite important because with veteran instincts that becomes
You
9,
can have a
and
9.
that becomes really
9 is a good state in the game at the moment.
Yeah, that puts him, especially if you're being able to slam at pilot skill 9, that's
pleasingly reactive.
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah, like saying hi Fen and bye Fen.
Yeah. And being able to control the movement then and shooting that early. So you can make sure, because even with only 7 health, even with 2 agility, too low pilot skill, and they could quite easily get alpha off the board.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's entirely doable.
Yeah.
Lethality 001 says hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey.
Glad you could join us. So moving on to upgrade cards.
Yes.
We've got a little stack of new upgrades that comes with the Starwing, but we've also got 2 existing ones. So first of all, very straightforwardly, you get a copy of cruise missiles. Always nice to have more of those. A cheap 3-point munition that, given the Starwing's dial, shouldn't be too difficult to pull off at its full effectiveness either.
No, should be doable.
Secondly, and more interestingly, there's a copy of Advanced Slam. Obviously, as a Slam ship, it's quite likely you see a copy of that in the pack. But importantly, it's printed with the revised wording that came in with the most recent FAQ. So when you slam, if you did not overlap an obstacle or another ship, you may perform a free action on your action bar. So that does tie it down a little bit further. And in particular, that was the wording that has stopped K-Wings from being able to do their old slam bombing trick.
Effectively, that's next Miranda a bit.
A little.
A little. It's the
She's still very
generic Warden squadrons are the ones that have really borne the brunt of that, I think.
Yes.
However, on the action bar of the Starwing, you've got a few interesting options. Being able to slam and then target lock's nice.
Yep.
Particularly if you've got long range scanners. Slam away, out past range 3.
Out past range 3.
Pick up your target lock nonetheless.
Then come back in next turn.
Or alternatively, being able to reload. So give yourself a weapons disabled token for slamming, give yourself a weapons disabled token for reloading.
You've run away and you've got your missiles back up, so come back round for another pass with your with your new rockets.
You give it to Vinder. He doesn't care about how many weapons disabled tokens he gets.
Oh, well, and he survives a bit, but he's a little bit harder to kill while he's turning around and coming back.
So some good stuff there, I think. So we've got a selection of new upgrades. I think the ones that we want to talk about first are probably the 2 titles that come with the Starwing, because they really do define how the ship functions.
Just to interrupt, Kangi Skin says hello, and Lethality has pointed out that there's a problem with your Rebel List max pull, one of them. The title is useless unless you've got 2 bombers using the title, so you could put those 2 points to use.
Read the wording on the bomber again. It says resistance ships, not resistance bombers. It works fine with the T-70s.
Yeah, that's correct. You are correct.
It does. The title will have effect.
As long as they're Force Awakens era ships, basically.
They're T-70s.
Yeah.
So yes,
that's correct. Yeah, cross formation. When defending, Yep, that works fine.
Yep, and they are 2 T-70 X-Wings, so it will work just fine as long as they're next to at least one of those.
But it is one of those things that's very easy to overlook. The faction or the faction and sub-faction rules were only introduced in the Force Awakens core set. And if you've not gone through it's not even in the rules reference, it's in the How to Play guide. And obviously, if you're a more veteran player, you probably didn't bother to read the How to Play guide that came with the Force Awakens set. So I think it's one of those things that a lot of people have kind of like glossed over slightly.
Yeah.
Because most of the time they see like Rebel Resistance, it's much the same thing, but at this point it's now separating it.
Let's quickly go over to the list, camera, and show here. So here, this is the Rebel list. The cross-4 formation. When defending, if there's at least one other friendly resistance ship at range 1 to 2 of the attacker, you may add one eyeball result to your roll. The T-70 and the both
Other
T-70s,
T-70.
both of the T-70s are part of the Rebel faction, but the sub-faction is resistance for them. So they do count towards the crossfire formation.
As I believe would do the this is actually a little off topic, so maybe leave it. I think for
We'll
for
come back
later.
to that when we get
We'll
to
come
the
back
bomber.
to this
We
when we
will
get to
come
the
back
bomber.
to this discussion though, since it is interesting enough.
Yes.
Let's get back to the Alpha class.
So the Alpha class comes with 2 titles. The XG1 Assault configuration and the OS1 Arsenal loadout, both of which sound tremendously exciting. And those of you who are fans of the old X-Wing and TIE Fighter games may have been looking at the upgrade bar on this being like, that's weird.
It's very empty.
Why doesn't the gunboat have any
Guns.
cannon slots? This is really peculiar. Well, the XG1 Assault configuration has got the answer for you there. It's a 1-point title, and when you equip it, your upgrade bar gains 2 cannon upgrade icons. So, interesting point, you can equip 2 cannons to this ship.
Yes.
In addition, you may perform attacks with cannon secondary weapons that cost 2 or fewer squad points, even while you have a weapons disabled token. So, those turns where you like slam and move into rounded position, you can still potentially take shots with
Tractor
beam,
flechette cannon, or the new cannon.
Yeah, the new jamming beam, which we will come to in a moment.
It also is worth noting that these represent the 2 different versions of 2 different ships, which they've melded into one essentially.
Yes,
the missile boat and the gunboat.
Yes, indeed. And the OS1 Arsenal loadout, as Elliot very rightly points out, reflects the missile boat. So that is a 2-point title, 1 point more expensive than the assault configuration. The Arsenal loadout, your upgrade bar gains the torpedo and missile upgrade icons,
Giving you 2 of each.
which is quite nice. And interestingly, having 2 of each also allows you to do some interesting
Combos.
things with unguided rockets, as an example, if you want to start equipping those.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, because it then has
Yes.
2 now.
Yeah. It also says you may perform attacks with torpedo and missile secondary weapons against ships you have locked, even while you have a weapons disabled token. So you can slam, reposition, reload, and still get your shots away as long as you've managed to carry a target lock with you or pick one up in the process.
So with that title, you can load one of these things out with advanced slam forwards towards your opponents, take a target lock from that, and still be able to fire your missiles at whatever you're trying to shoot.
That sounds like a sort of perfect option for Vinder, because you will have the slam tokens there.
I was thinking of this a way of allowing your lower pilot skill ones to be able to get into range to still take their target locks when
True.
they otherwise wouldn't be able to, which is usually the problem with munitions builds.
With
on,
advanced slam, you're correct.
yes, it would be able to actually take this with a target lock rather than relying on blank long range scanners. That's the one.
Yeah.
Which this ship couldn't take, natively at least.
It could.
If you apply the title, but not natively.
It has a torpedo and missile slot.
Oh, I thought you were
Natively.
2 of each. Okay.
No, just one apiece. So, 2 interesting different titles, which I think are going to result in 2 very different ships when you're flying it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is kind of cool.
Mhm.
I don't think we've seen something like this in X-Wing before, where you have the same basic platform that completely changes, unless you want to start looking at things like the TIE Shuttle title for the bomber.
Yeah.
But this is
The Defender.
The Defender does to an extent.
X7 and the
What we're
TIE
seeing here, though, I think we've got an interesting thing. If you get the named pilots, it seems to me as though Vinder probably wants the missiles, because then he can still shoot, because he wants to keep his weapons disabled token, and that still allows him to fire at full power.
Yeah.
Whereas Lieutenant Kasabi is probably preferring the gunboat, because
The assault
you can still
configuration.
that way you can still slam into a position to have your best possible shot with your say, heavy laser cannon, and still use it.
Without he mentions, would you rather use guidance ships or advanced slam when using arsenal? Which one would you prefer, advanced slam or guidance ships? Because you are right.
This depends. I think it depends on the pilot skill.
And sometimes points.
And sometimes points. Advanced slam costs points, guidance ships doesn't. But I'd say a higher pilot skill. So the
assault configuration or the arsenal loadout?
The arsenal loadout.
Oh, right.
Yeah, sorry.
No, sorry.
So with the arsenal, with the arsenal loadout, I'd say a higher pilot skill. You're more able to get away with guidance chips, but that's going to have they're going to continue to have the same problem they always have on low pilot skill ships where they can't get their target lock. The advanced slam will make them more able to do that.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree, specifically because advanced slam is really good on the low pilot skills. It's quite good on the high pilot skills. But if you're looking at Vinder, Vinder can slam forwards, and then he's got an elite pilot talent slot, so he can take push the limit.
Yeah.
So if needs be, he can load up on his guidance chips, push the limit to get his target lock, and then just throw massively modified ordnance at things.
Yes, he can.
True. So then you have to be locked into doing a very slow...
While sitting behind his 3 agility, yes.
So you're locked into basically doing like a 2 bank or 2 straight or one straight to clear that stress again. That's not ideal, but two bank slams covers quite a large area.
So we've covered our 2 titles. We've then got 3 other upgrades to take a look at. Shall we start with the Elite Pilot Talent Saturation Salvo? Because it is the single largest wall of text I have ever seen on an upgrade card.
It's a lot. It's a lot of words.
So, deep breath here, folks. Saturation Salvo. It's a 1-point Elite Pilot Talent. After you perform an attack with a torpedo or missile secondary weapon that does not hit, each ship at range 1 of the defender with an agility value lower than the squad point cost of the torpedo or missile upgrade card must roll 1 attack dice and suffer any damage or critical damage rolled. Whew.
It's a lot of words, and it's not great.
So I think it's probably worth breaking that down. So
it's a lot of.
So after you attack with, so basically thinking about the gunboat at this point.
The
missile
loadout.
So after shooting with a torpedo or missile
that misses.
That misses. So that's the first thing. You have to miss.
So you wouldn't necessarily take guidance chips.
You would, but if they evade it.
If they manage to miss. This is you'd never want to aim for saturation salvo.
It's one of those things. I'd like it if it was 0 points, because then it's like, I'd fill a slot, but it's 1 point, so I've got to pay a cost for it.
So it's then like Veteran Instincts or Saturation Salvo.
There's better cards.
It's an insurance card when you don't want to pay points for an insurance.
No. Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of why you see such a big difference between munitions failsafe and guidance chips.
Yeah.
Guidance chips has a guaranteed effect that helps you get the end result you want
and
doesn't cost anything. Munitions failsafe relies on you having failed at achieving what you wanted to accomplish and costs a point.
Yes.
And I think Saturation Salvo firmly falls into that munitions failsafe camp.
Because if you've got the point to put on a Saturation Salvo, you've got the point for, depending on which pilot you're using, either Deadeye or Veteran Instincts, both of which are better.
The one place I think Saturation Salvo might have a home is Double Edge in the TIE Aggressor.
Potentially.
Double Edge specifically is built around the idea if you miss with your initial attack, you get to make an attack with a different weapon you've got equipped.
And then give him unguided rockets.
Yeah.
Which are they 2 or 3 points?
2 points.
So that's still only going to hit 1 agility ships.
Absolutely.
So even then, it's not great.
No.
There's just too many conditions on it.
Fewer than?
It's strictly fewer, I believe.
Yeah, it's fewer, and I think that's one of the real limiting factors on it as well. I think this card is just slightly too conditional.
Yeah.
Like, there's one too many conditions on it. I think if they'd just been like, if you throw a rocket in and it misses, then you can scatter damage, that would be fine. But this isn't. This isn't.
But
this isn't, I think, quite.
Yeah, but it's miss, and then it's you have to have. And to get the best effect of it, you have to have spent more points on a missile that didn't do anything.
However,
Harpoon.
I'd love to be proved wrong. about Saturation Salvo. So chat, if you've got any stunningly good ideas about how to use Saturation Salvo, I am morbidly curious about what can be achieved with this card.
We've already got some suggestions. Munitions failsafe, Saturation Salvo, Guidance Chips, Harpoon Missiles, Vaxi, Scavenging Crane, on Captain Choristo.
It's funny, I'll give you that much.
That's going all in on the gimmick. I like that. I'm not sure it's good, but I like it.
I didn't think Justero had a EPT, but I've not been playing any of the new stuff yet.
He does have an EPT slot,
Justero does, which can be hilarious in its own terms. So, Saturation Salvo, I'm going to be honest, I think that's going to be a little bit of a dud. I think there's some nice ideas there, but I think it is too conditional and involves a random dice roll and involves you kind of like failing to accomplish what you wanted to do in the first place.
And costs a point.
I have to say,
I do see what FFG wanted with this, but I don't think they've quite got it this time.
Choristo would work as like a wingman to someone's Saturation Salvo, because the damage they would take would be not from an attack.
Which means Justero would then be able to fire,
And it also, even if it's equipped to Justero, he'd still get the benefits of it.
Yeah, he would.
Because Justero would trigger his own ability by missing and tricking Saturation Salvo.
And then last of all, we've got 2 cannon upgrades. Conveniently, since the assault configuration lets you equip 2. So right out the box, you can run with a fully loaded assault configuration if you want. First of all, we've got the Jamming Beam. So the Jamming Beam is a 3-attack, range 1 to 2, 1-point cannon. That has the text, attack 1 ship. If this attack hits, assign the defender 1 jam token, then cancel all dice results. So it doesn't do damage, much like Tractor Beam, and it has a detrimental effect, much like Tractor Beam. However, what that detrimental effect is jam, and the jam token is a new and exciting thing for standard play. So, jam tokens. When a ship has both a jam token and a focus, evade, or blue target lock token, remove the jam token. Then that ship chooses and removes one of its focus, evade, or blue target lock tokens. A ship is jammed if it has a jam token.
So the token sticks around right up until the moment when you... the next time that ship is going would have one of those tokens, if it doesn't have one already.
And I think that's one of the really key points about it there, Max. One of the problems that Tractor Beam has had is you can't really afford to put it on low pilot skill ships because it needs to happen before the majority of your list fires.
Yes.
Whereas Jamming Beam...
At which point you're using some of your high pilot skill aces to fire a shot that does no damage.
Yeah.
And that's
or you build around it in terms of you make the Tractor Beam thing the highest pilot skill you've got. And
at which point you're making your high pilot skill thing fire a shot that does no damage, unless it's a Lancer.
Yeah.
The Tractor Beam does have the advantage that it is full range 1 to 3, whereas the Jam Beam is 1 to 2.
It is a longer range, yes.
And there's some other benefits from the Tractor Beam as well. Being able to throw people around and help people onto rocks or out
and
of
reduce
position,
their agility. And
reducing their agility. It's all good stuff.
So
I'm very pro the Tractor Beam.
Yeah.
But I think the Jamming Beam has got a specific virtue on low pilot skill ships. Like, if you've got a cannon slot and a point spare... Sticking a Jamming Beam on something like a low PSB wing or something like that,
or
gives
one
you,
of the or a new squadron,
indeed.
Or as Elliot points out here, Colonel Vessery, because he gets his target lock from a buddy being around.
Because a Type D defender can fire a regular attack and the cannon. I think is more what's being looked at there.
But I think that's really interesting, specifically because it allows you to apply a debuff 1 turn that takes effect in a later turn. So I'm really intrigued by the Jamming Beam.
I think it has a position. I think it does definitely have a place.
Thank you for the Fantasy 01 for the suggestion of Colonel Vessery.
Yeah, no, there's quite a lot of tokens that just get messed around by Jamming Beam.
I think
the only one so far is it doesn't stop the reinforce.
It is interesting to point out is that the defender is the one who chooses which token to get rid of.
Yes. So it's effectively
Where's Jansen?
It's a time. It's a less instant, so it works over time, but slightly less powerful Wes Jansen.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting, and it definitely has a place in the game.
Yeah.
has a very strong place in the game.
And then, last of all, for the Star Wing, we've got the linked battery upgrade. So this is a small ship only limited upgrade. I think they are covering themselves for some point in the future where both of those things might be problematic. Yeah. When attacking with a primary weapon or a cannon secondary weapon, you may re-roll 1 attack dice for 2 points.
Well, I mean, the limited seems fairly straightforward. If you put it on the Star Wing right here, if they have 2 of them, that's re-roll both of your attack dice.
Pew pew.
Pew pew.
I liked Link Battery. I think it's really good. I think it's probably at its best on things that have got multiple cannon slots.
Yeah.
So it works well on the assault configuration gunboat, and it potentially works.
It
on
would
nothing else.
Nothing else, because the only other thing I think with 2 cannon slots is the aggressor, which can't take it,
and that's why
because it's a large base ship.
I was very sad about the small ship only on that basis, but I think that may have been done deliberately to specifically stop the aggressor from equipping it. But it is.
But would that be a real big issue though?
I don't think so.
Possibly not. The
Not
aggressors
now.
are.
Maybe for the future though.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe they may have some plans for another big base ship with multiple cannon slots, where the linked battery would just break everything.
It also means that you can't stick it on a fire spray and you can't stick it on a YV666 and start having them just like plink off loads of re-rolled dice.
Yeah.
So I can see why they're being cautious with it. I think they're possibly being a little overcautious, but I still like it.
I do think the gunboat is going to be seeing this an awful lot.
I think it's also potentially an alternative to fire control system for B-wings.
Maybe.
Because B-wings sometimes suffer from not being easily able to keep track of one target.
Yeah.
And this doesn't rely on that. This gives them persistent attack modifications against whatever they're pointing at. And you don't have to have already shot to start getting those benefits as well.
But also, on here, if you want to have one of, say your top pilot skill here with an HLC and the link battery, you've got 4 attack dice with a reroll. Is, I think, sort of, well, it's the opposite.
Pretty darn good.
So I think there's one final place for the link battery that is its real hidden stellar stunning spot, and that is an 18-point Sunny Bounder build. Sunny Bounder with heavy psych, taking a cannon slot and linked battery, and then suddenly you've got built-in rerolls on Sunny Bounder. So you move Sunny Bounder forwards, you take a focus action, you shoot your gun, you use your linked battery to reroll, and then as long as you reroll into a pair of icons, be it crits, be it focuses, be it hits,
or blanks.
You get the extra result.
Yeah.
So I think that could potentially result in a very potent 18-point ship.
That's quite nice.
And it also doesn't take the light stick issue of just taking crits all the time.
Absolutely.
And the extra point of hull is nice.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that sounds fun.
That's the AlphaClass Star Wing.
That is the Star Wing.
I am wildly excited about the ship. As an Imperial player, this is filling a kind of like a gap in Imperial lists that we've not really had. It's giving the Imperials a cannon carrier that isn't a defender.
Yeah.
And I think given the kind of like the popularity of the X7 title over the TIE D,
it's I think this is a good. I think this is a good shape. It's got some very nice things. Some good versatility as well, which is nice. It's not a ship with one thing that it does.
Yeah.
Which I think is very nice.
And there's some shenanigans to be had.
Yeah,
definitely.
So
just
onwards.
Just a recap of who's in the chat. Thank you very much for Lethality for commenting, and be sure if you're watching to be sure to leave a comment. Like if you're watching on YouTube, or just drop a message in the chat. And so far we've got Bapani, Hawk's Head, Kangaskhin, Lethality 001, Lithi 2017, and Peter Sonov watching us live.
Glad you could join us, folks.
And don't forget, we have something interesting going on.
We do. We have our poll of a total of